All right, shalom, shalom. This video is long overdue. I meant to make this video for Elder Rufus and the gang down there in Georgia, but I got brother TJ here, so he's gonna be my cameraman. We're gonna show you some of what I've learned from just dealing with concrete, dealing with laying blocks, masonry, things of that nature. As you can see straightway, everybody knows helped us build out. When this is still ours, we're actually gonna put a roof on this thing probably within the next 2 months and start kind of getting busy on it. This building right here has pretty much been completed, but something I was telling some of the brethren, what I've learned is on the corners, I will never again go within 16 inches of a window or a door. You really don't have that much play, and the reason for that is because this block isn't necessarily 16 inches. It's a little under, just like everything else. Your 2x4s or 3.5s, by 1.5, you know, whatever the case may be. Your block is no different. Even the 8-inch side, it's not necessarily 8 inches. It's like 7 5/8. Your block here, the length of it is about 15 5/8, I believe. My math may be a little bit off, but here I was able to kind of have a little play here. But I was telling Elder Rufus and a few other people that I've spoken to, I would always probably, and here I think what I ended up doing, I think I did a full block, I believe. But I wouldn't do it again. You can really see it over here, and I'm gonna show you why I wouldn't do it. So you come over here, all right? So we installed the doors next to a door. And what do you see? You see one full block. And then so this block is turned, right, for a full block going that way, and I put a half block here. And then if you look real close, I had to beat this block in, and I didn't really catch on to it, so I got a little further up. But what happened is I'll have it'll be somewhat jagged, kind of coming in and out, and you'll see either on this side or that side. So you have to make a business decision. Do I want it to be jagged on my corner here, or do I want it to be jagged right here where my wall's gonna butt up at? So this isn't necessarily complete. We gotta actually remove this door, and we're gonna have to do that zip system here, and some of that black rubber here to protect it from water and moisture, things of that nature, and also fill this crack with some foam. But this is why I wouldn't do it within, doing block work, I wouldn't do it within 16. I told him I would probably do 32, meaning 2 block lengths, because I can kind of make up for it with the mortar. You know, I can make it tighter, I can make it slightly fatter, but I could just focus on my corner, make sure it's flush, and then I could, you know, have some play over here, and then use my 4-foot level as I go up to make sure it's flush all the way up on the end and outside. So this is probably why I wouldn't do it that way. Another thing, I've just learned, this building is just, I've learned a lot. So let me show you this real quick. Over here you can see I got 24 inches. So I had a little wiggle room, so I didn't have to really worry about it. My bead was somewhat consistent, except for when you get to that lintel, it's a little off. But these beads are somewhat consistent all the way down. Corners very flush, but I had a little wiggle room. And there's wood right in here, butt up to that block so I can install this window. And so this is a good example of giving myself a little bit of room. So a full block and a half block is kind of 24 inches with mortar. Come around this side, you got the same thing. Got about 24 inches. You can look at the beads, they're pretty consistent somewhat, going all the way up on the side of the window. Very flush corner, and I had a little wiggle room there. I could kind of make up for it wherever I go. Also, depending on where you want to set these lintels and these windows at, you want to give yourself that 24, because at any one time, any given time, you can set that lintel exactly where you want it. So the window on that side is set at a certain height. So when you come back over to this side, if you notice, I got more wood on top. The reason why I got more wood on top is because that lintel should have been set at that course where that full block is. But I couldn't do it because the pattern at which I was going, if I was gonna stagger it, you kind of see a half block, full block, half block, full block. And so if I would have gave myself that 24 inches, I could have, even if it was a full block, I would have had a half block right here, you know, but I wouldn't have been this close. That lintel would have been set at a 16. You follow what I'm saying? I got one block at 16, so that lintel is set after 8 inches. Well, it would have been set after 16 if I would have slid this over 8 inches to give myself that 24. So that's kind of why I do it that way. But I learned a lot on these buildings, especially this one. This one I really learned a lot on. You can see I was real anal about how flush it was, my corners, big time. And we did a pretty good job on it. A lot of mistakes you can make on these buildings is when you have more than one person touching them. So you have more than one person laying, and they don't lay the same, things can, you know, get a little off. Another thing that I would avoid doing, if I could do it again, is look at my spacing between the door and this window. I have my reasons for having all these windows in it, but my spacing, all I got is 24. I wouldn't do that again. Simply because look at this fat joint there. You know, I think you shouldn't go over about 7. I think the fattest you want is 5/8, or whatever the case may be. And you look at these two, they're just entirely too big. So what I had to do is I had to core fill these with concrete or quickcrete with rebar. You know, to just reinforce it, just kind of make it as solid as I could. So that's another mistake that I made. I would give myself 32 easily. So just have 2 full blocks, and then I'd have my next opening, whether that be a window or whether that be a door. So another thing over here, you see I got plenty of space in between. So I got 32 plus another 8, I got 40. So 40 inches in between, that's good. And also my pattern. My pattern was off. I did a lot of things for pattern's sake. And so if you take a look out the window over here, you see after this first window over there on that other building, you can see I got like a line running all the way down, and on the other side, same thing. And what I was doing was maintaining a pattern, and I learned real quick that I don't necessarily have to do that. So a lot of things are gonna start from the beginning. You're gonna have to really do a lot of math from that first block you lay and what direction you're turning it, so that way you don't have a whole bunch of half blocks in your building. Another thing, look at this mistake. Didn't catch this till we were probably up here somewhere. Had set for a full 2 days or so. We had already laid these 2 courses, and I was up there. I think we was already at the lintel, and I looked down and I said, what happened here? You know, I'd ask the brothers, what happened here? So these are things that happen whenever someone lays. It's kind of like having one trainer, right? You have one trainer, and that trainer trains everybody the same way. And then what ends up happening is you throw somebody else in the mix, and they do things a little bit different, right? Some people may say you could lay a block below, I don't know, 1/8 below the line. Some people may say don't go below a 16th. Some people may say it can go a little lower and you can make it up. Running a string line all the way across the wall to make sure, you know, that your wall is flush or not. Or, you know, I mean, these are all things that I learned, whether it be from pastor or just learned from my own mistakes. So these are some of the things that I've just learned over a period of time. This wall I almost messed up on. This opening from this wall to that wall, we didn't run a string across the way we should have throughout the entirety of the building, but I caught it halfway up, and I'm only a quarter off. I'm within a quarter. I mean, not a quarter off. I'm within a quarter. So I'm like 3/16, something like that, within variation. So it's been good. I advise doing 10-foot walls if you can, unless especially if you don't have a lot of space, if you don't have a lot of land, or if you're not going to build as many buildings, you're going to want these 10-foot high walls. I wouldn't stop at 8 because you can always stack higher and stack up. All right, so I'm going to do one last thing. We're going to come back over here. You close that door. So I wish I would have made this bigger, but I have not. So it just kind of is what it is. I wish I would have went out another 16 feet, maybe another 20, but this in essence was just a practice building. We just wanted to lay block. We just wanted to lay a foundation, lay block, and get some block up. That's all we wanted to do. And so in the meantime, what we're going to do is just turn this into a storage. We're going to keep it room temperature. Through the winter's not going to be a problem at all. We got an AC in here for during the heat, but the insulation in the block really keeps it cool in here during the summer, which we've seen, and we've been keeping it around 75, 77 degrees. And so the reason why I would recommend the 10-foot high ceiling is because of what you see here. These are just studs. We just bought these studs. This is 8 foot. So I still got room on top. So I don't have to sit here and just build stuff up to here and do negotiations. But you want your ceiling just as high as these shelves, or do you want it that high? I still got room to put all my light stuff on top. And the reason why this has 3 windows and is because one day this may be, I don't know, a single brother can stay here. I can make this like a guest cabin of some sorts until that day. So that's the reason for me making it this small. And I wanted to hit the ceiling and the height of the ceiling because, I mean, look, I got this right here. So I'm actually gonna bring this shelf down some because, I mean, if I want this to hold all the way up, yeah, it's that tall. But I mean, honestly, you don't need to be that high. All you gotta do is lift it up, get what you need. So I may bring this down a little bit to give them more space up in here, but it's not all the way in. There's like only one screw holding it, so we still got wiggle room to kind of move around. And we've tacked on these shelves to the wall, so they're not moving anywhere. But they're pretty sturdy. We got plenty of things that we're doing. We're canning. And this is not our only storage spot, but this is one of the main ones we will have, which is another thing I plan on doing is doing 2 more shelves right here in the middle. Button them up. So all we're doing is you come in the door and you just walk around. This toe won't be here, but we just walk around. And all this will be labeled and we just make a little circle. Walk around and walk on out. So that's kind of the reason why I did it this way. So hope that information helps. You can take away from it what you will. Hallelujah.